Yo, what's good, people, man? It's your boy Persona, gaming with Persona, one half of the What's Up PlayStation podcast crew. How you guys doing, man? Hope you guys doing good, man. Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. And listen, man, we got a lot that we need to talk about. There's a lot going on today, or this week, guys. One of the biggest news this week that really hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. And the reason why it hurts my heart is because this is a game that I have been waiting for since 2018 when we first found out about it. And if you don't know, I'm talking about Factions 2. We found out this week that Naughty Dog has decided to cancel Factions 2 and focus solely on single player, or at least working on their next single player games and experiences, right? But they gave a reason why. They put out a blog post on explaining why, and really truly, I'm really surprised that when this came out, right? This came out like in the middle of the night or late in the evening yesterday, and I was just like, wow, they just I don't know, I just felt random to me. Like typically I would have expected something like this to come out like probably like early in the day, like in the morning or something like that, but they kind of just put it out late at night, so, or late in the evening or whatnot. But I do want to read this blog post and kind of just give my thoughts in this entire situation with both Naughty Dog and honestly PlayStation in general. So let's read this blog post and let's see what's going on with this, right? So shout out to Naughty Dog, man. Listen, I think Naughty Dog, I have a lot of respect for Naughty Dog, a lot of respect for the studio and really all these devs that's out here making games and things like that. But we definitely gonna be really honest when it comes to what we're gonna talk about in this video, right? So the update, it says, we realize many of you have been anticipating news around the project that we've been calling The Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We've made the incredibly difficult decision to stop development on the game. We know this news will be tough for many, especially our dedicated Last of Us Factions community who have been following our multiplayer ambitions ardently. We're equally crushed at the studio as we were looking forward to putting it in your hands. We wanted to share with you some background of how we came to this decision. The multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we were working on The Last of Us Part 2, crafting an experience we felt was unique and had tremendous potential. As a multiplayer team iterated on their concept for The Last of Us Online during this time, their vision crystallized, the gameplay got more refined and satisfying, and we were enthusiastic about the direction in which we were headed. In ramping up to full production, the mass scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. We are immensely proud of everyone at the studio that touched this project. The learnings and investments in technology from this game will carry into how we develop our projects and will be invaluable in the direction we are headed as a studio. We have more than one ambitious brand new single player game that we're working on here at Naughty Dog, and we cannot wait to share more about what comes next when we're ready. Until then, we're incredibly thankful to our community for your support throughout the years. Wow. That really, like I said, this really sucks for me personally, because I've been really wanting a new multiplayer from Naughty Dog, more specifically a new Factions to play, especially with The Last of Us 2 movement, The Last of Us 2 gameplay mechanics and whatnot, right? And for me, it really sucks that we're not getting that, man. Like, this really does really have me pissed off, because for me, I feel like this is them kind of doing too much when it came to The Last of Us Part 2 or Factions or whatever. I feel like, them trying to create this live service game and live service experience and trying to create their own thing from this. I personally would have wanted to have just some multiplayer added on to The Last of Us Part 2, kind of like how we had with Last of Us Part 1, and kind of just called it a day, put some maps in there, put some cool costumes or whatever, add other characters or whatever the case may be, add new weapons. It kind of just, had a nice small team kind of just dedicated to updating the game here and there or whatever, and just, making sure there's no bugs and all that and everything is fine. And we would have been good with that, right? That really is what I would have wanted when it came to factions. Them trying to create like this entire big experience, I definitely was kind of on board at first. I'm like, all right, like you're trying to create a live service from this and whatnot, but I feel like we kind of still need to see something. One of the things that really had me kind of worried was the fact that we really haven't seen anything about factions for quite some time. Like all we've gotten was 2 concept arts, the announcement that they were working on the multiplayer experience and things like that, and that's really it. And the fact that we were supposed to get news this year and we didn't get news this year, and then there was rumors of like Bungie taking a look at the game and saying that it just wasn't living up to the live service standards and whatnot, and so that's why they had to pull back from even showing us anything that pertained to this game this year. I was still holding out hope, because I'm like, all right, they're gonna take some more time. I know there was the news of it being put on ice and all this other stuff, but then the one of the developers that's working on the game had came out and said the game is still cooking, let us cook, blah blah blah. So I'm like, all right, there's still hope for this game, but with this news, this kind of just kills all hope. And again, for me, I just feel like, damn. I do feel like I feel bad. I feel sad. I definitely feel pissed off at the fact that, all this hyping of the game and when we didn't even get to see what it is, it really sucks. But one of the things that, and I put this on Twitter earlier today as well, where I said, if this Factions 2 situation teaches us anything, it's that sometimes less is more. And what I mean by that is, having to create this big live service experience really is what put them in the position to make the decision to not even go forward with the game anyway. Because the scope of the game, the ambition and things like that, they said it themselves. We would have had to dedicate the entire studio to creating or maintaining this live service Last of Us faction style game for years to come. From that perspective, I can understand them not wanting to do that, right? Especially with a studio like Naughty Dog, that have made some of the greatest single player experiences out there, right? I can understand them not wanting to shift to that and just solely focus on this online experience to become a live service studio. I understand that 100%, but this is why I put the tweet out what I put, where I'm like, sometimes less is more. And again, what I mean by that is if we would have gotten just a nice multiplayer add-on experience, kind of like, again, Factions 1, kind of like what Ghost of Tsushima did, where, it came out a little bit later and it had its, certain modes and certain things you could do with friends. If they would have came out with a nice little add-on PvP multiplayer experience, and again, a smaller crew to keep it updated or whatnot, I would have been good with that. I'd have been happy with that. But obviously, we've got PlayStation that is trying to be in this live service realm and dedicating a lot of time and a lot of effort into the live service department. And so with that, what you have is, you had them looking at different games and wanting to create something like this in a much larger scale, which again, Naughty Dog wasn't trying to do, clearly, because they're not trying to dedicate all resources to that. But again, for me, I just feel like we didn't see anything, right? The other side of this is, when it comes to Naughty Dog and what we're going to see from them, now we're looking at, and I was talking about this the other day, there's no telling when we'll see something from Naughty Dog now after them canceling this Factions 2 or Last of Us Online multiplayer experience, right? There's no telling when we'll see something from them. Obviously, we got the Last of Us Part 2 remaster coming out in January, but I'm more so talking about brand new experiences, either a new IP, a new sequel to a existing game, or whatever the case may be. There's no telling when we're going to see something from that. And so now what we have is more waiting from seeing what Naughty Dog is cooking, right? And you got people that'll probably hear that and be like, oh well, it's fine. We got games, or let them cook or whatever. Obviously, we're gonna let the devs cook. We have no choice but to let the devs cook. But again, we've been letting the devs cook for this long, and now we're looking at a canceled game. So now we got to go back to, oh well, give them more time and let them cook more and blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, as a gamer, as somebody that I love PlayStation, I love the games that they put out. People can't keep using that line, man. Like, those lines they just not going to work anymore, especially going into 2024. Constantly saying this, let them cook, give them time, blah, blah, blah. Yo, I'm giving them time. We're all giving them time. We have no choice but to, right? But going into the 4th year of this generation, I feel like with PlayStation, they need to definitely, especially with all the other, outside of this Naughty Dog situation, a lot of other things that have been happening, especially this year with the whole Bungie situation and, dialing back the live service games, not really knowing much about these live service games and things like that, right? There's a lot of things from PlayStation that we do not know. And I feel like going into the next year, going into the new year, but I think into like a phase 2, so to speak, I really do think we need to see something from PlayStation in terms of a showcase of outlining first party wise what they have coming in that second phase of 2024 and beyond, right? We know Concord, we know Helldivers, right? Like, we know that those are coming, but there's still a number of things from PlayStation in their studios that we really don't know anything about. And I think, especially with this situation of Naughty Dog and games being canceled or whatnot, for me personally, I really want to see PlayStation give us a look at what's going on with phase 2. In terms of Naughty Dog, yo, what do you say at this point, right? Like, what do you say? I appreciate them wanting to focus on single player games and things like that, because I love single player games as well. But now we're waiting. We're playing a waiting game again for God knows how long. What do you do? So I hate the fact that this Factions Part 2 multiplayer got canceled. I'm hoping that they don't move away completely from doing a multiplayer experience, because one of the things that people don't realize with Naughty Dog has experience in creating multiplayer experiences. They've been doing this for quite a few years, like since like the PS3 generation. Last of Us Part 2, Uncharted 2, they had multiplayer. 3, they had multiplayer. Uncharted 4, Lost Legacy, Last of Us Part 1. Like, they've been doing multiplayer experiences within their games for quite a while, right? So I believe that Naughty Dog has the experience and expertise to put out a comprehensive multiplayer game. Now, a live service game and all this other stuff that's supposed to last 5 years, 10 years, that's a different story. I can understand Naughty Dog not wanting to dedicate the time and effort and the manpower to do that. I understand that. But I do think that Naughty Dog is capable of creating a great multiplayer game and a great multiplayer experience. And I feel like even with this faction situation, and again, I'm only outside looking in, so I'm only coming to you and speaking to you about this as a gamer, right? But I just feel like, for me, I would have at least wanted, like, all right, we're not going to do live service, but we're going to put out a nice little multiplayer add-on that you guys can enjoy, right? And have some PvP aspect to it, or update the Factions 1 with new maps and overhaul the movement to be more like Last of Us 2, something, right? I just feel like it's kind of wild to me that a lot of what was put into this game to create it and build it up is now kind of going to waste. Now, obviously, the lessons learned and some of the techniques and things like that from what they were doing, we'll definitely see that in later iterations of their game, sure. But I would have liked like a nice little small little multiplayer type of experience that they could have just put out. They could have just scrapped that whole live service thing and be like, you know what, we're not doing a live service, but we'll still put out something in the form of a PvP like experience in the Last of Us 2 world, so that you have something to enjoy. Just to not leave gamers hanging and like empty-handed, because that's kind of where we're at now. We're kind of all just standing here like, well, okay, we're looking forward to this Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer, and now, all right, who knows? So that's kind of my whole thing with this, man. I think PlayStation, like I said, I rock with PlayStation. I love PlayStation, but I do think PlayStation definitely needs to get their act together and they definitely need to, like, give us a proper phase 2 and a proper showing. I'm going to die on that hill, you feel me? Because there's a lot of people that most likely will probably disagree, or people will probably be in the comments saying, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with that. That's perfectly fine. For me, I do think PlayStation, especially after this, going into 2024, they need to give us a proper look at first party, right? But hopefully we'll see something from Naughty Dog soon. I won't hold my breath, but again, this sucks. And hopefully things will get better in the future when it comes to Naughty Dog and what's going on with some of the studios. But guys, let me know in the comments, man. Were you excited for Factions 2? Did you not care? Let me know in the comments, man. And I appreciate you guys rocking out with me and watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, definitely like, comment, and subscribe. And I appreciate you guys so much. And I hope you guys have a great evening. It's been your boy Persona, and I'm out, guys. Peace.